Kabul airport has become a picture of utter desperation ever since the Taliban took control of the Afghanistan capital and President Ashraf Ghani fled the country. Thousands of men, women, and children were seen rushing towards the Kabul airport even as US troops opened fire to control the exodus. Hundreds of Afghans were seen crowding the US Air Force jet as it took off from the runway. Some managed to hang on to the wheels of the flight or sat on the wings only to fall to their deaths from the sky. New videos from the Kabul airport have emerged showing women crying for help from outside the gates and barbed wires, pleading the troops to let them in. In a video that has been going viral, women are seen throwing their babies over the razor wire asking the soldiers to catch them. One officer told The Independent the mothers were desperate, they were getting beaten by the Taliban. They shouted, "Save my baby," and threw the babies at us. Some of the babies fell on the barbed wire. It was awful what happened. By the end of the night, there wasn't one man among us who was not crying. Harrowing footage shows the moment a baby is passed overhead through a crowd in a heartbreaking attempt to give it a better life. For more information,
that Cobra post where you're getting that footage and that heartbreaking report. Ada Jet Noise, ADA Jet Noise. Catch me on Facebook, on YouTube, on Rumble.com. Check me out on Parler, Facebook. Please hit like, subscribe, comment, complain, pat me on the back if you feel I'm worthy of one. I tend to take criticism a little better than I take compliments. So please check in, man. It's let's chat. Let's try to find solutions to all that's going on right now. The hurricane landed in Louisiana. Prayers to those people. Flooding in Tennessee. There's a lot of flooding going on. There was another foreign country. I want to say it was in India, but I'm gonna have to follow up on that one. I just kind of saw that one in passing. But the real deal happening in Afghanistan right now. The people have that want to get out have until the 31st. I'm still not exactly sure how the Taliban tells the United States, yeah, you guys got to have your people out by the 31st. That's still the deadline that the United States apparently agreed to with the Taliban. It's a little embarrassing, and there's obviously so much more behind that. We're finding out more and more that the Taliban is definitely running the show in Afghanistan. Mentioned on the last broadcast that the U.S. troops are told to stand down. Stand down, pretty much. They can go out just outside the gates and try to do some crowd control, but they can't go out and get U.S. citizens. And the number that they're saying of people that have fled that fled Afghanistan is around 70,000, which sounds like an impressive number. Although we're finding out that in one of the smaller airports, that one of the names, actually several of the names, but they were able to pull aside one person that's actually involved with ISIS. Taliban, ISIS, But they actually have this person on a terrorist. The United States has this person on a terror list, but he was able to get to he was able to flee the country, and we have so many coming here to the United States. I just saw some footage of Afghan refugees landing in Mexico, being met with handshakes. And we are not vetting most of these people. So we have people that are from the United States, including a family that's from like some students and a family, part of a family that are stuck there. They're from California. Obviously United States citizens. They're stuck there, but we've got a guy from ISIS that was able to leave Afghanistan on one of the rescue jets, one of the rescue planes, and now he was being cast into the world. What they do with him now that they caught him, I don't know, but we're not necessarily doing a great job of getting our citizens out of Afghanistan. They are being told, I'm watching other reports of our citizens are being told, or people with visas, what have you, as well, I should say, are being told, go to this gate on this day or at this time, and that gate will be closed. Or this gate is particularly open, blah, blah, blah. And then they stop them from going to that gate because there's been some shootings, something along that lines. The United States has made very little effort. The State Department, I should say, has made very little effort in getting our citizens out of Afghanistan. So that's just to paint a picture. And it's not our guys on the ground. It's not our military guys on the ground. I was listening to Lara Logan, and she was saying that the orders that they've received, as she was reporting on the ground there, she was seeing our guys, literally many of our guys, just throwing up because they are told that they cannot do anything to go out and rescue or retrieve our people. I got an audio from Chad Robichaux, I lifted from the Blaze Radio Network. Chad Robichaux, in charge of the Mighty Oak Program Foundation, if you will. They are that's another thing that I'm running across, is that much of the rescued the refugees. I don't want to make a mistake in calling them refugees or anything other than refugees, because for the most part it's people that are just trying to save their lives, and there are some shady people that are mixed in that no doubt are out to do harm throughout the world. Wherever they land, their next move is to coordinate with their brotherly bad guys and come up with a plan to cause havoc throughout the world, because that's what they do. Chad Robichaux, on the ground, another unit, again, the Mighty Oak Program Foundation, if you will. They're one of the few, I shouldn't say few, they're one of a handful of private organizations that are bringing up those numbers that the United States are saying, oh, we've saved 70,000 people. Our government, our State Department has no problem taking credit for the numbers of what some of the private citizens are doing. And there's the lady in Utah that saved the women's the girls robotic team, handful of teenage girls. They were into they're building robots in Afghanistan. It's girls doing that. And the lady in Utah made a special effort to get them out, and she expanded her effort, obviously, to the families and in other situations. Mighty Oak is doing the same thing. The Nazarene Fund is what I asked you all to donate to last time I was on. Lara Logan, a lot of former military people are there on the ground. They're getting out their interpreters and friends and their families, getting out people that help them. It is the best way I heard it described on the radio. Was everyone is trying to do the right thing at 1,000 miles an hour. So it is indeed chaos, but it is working. The Nazarene Fund has specifically picked Christians, Afghan Christians who've converted or who have always been Christians. They couldn't admit that in Afghanistan because, of course, they would be killed. But they're tired of hiding. They're so tired of hiding and I thought this was crazy when I first heard it. But on their identification cards, these people want to be known as Christians. So it literally says that they are Christian on their identification cards. That sort of strength and commitment to God, to Jesus Christ, is should be commended. It should be heralded, praised, if you will. That's the first thing you think of. That's why I thought it was. When I first thought of it, I went to immediately, why would you admit that in that country, and in a place like that? And why not? Why would you be afraid? Why would you be ashamed? I went full-blown first world problems American on those people because of their lack of shame. That certainly humbled me when I thought that one through. Indeed, those people are true Christians. True Christians that in the face of death, they would rather die and than to give up the word of Christ. And it makes me question. It makes me question who I am, because in many ways, I've already promised myself that if I face that decision to where someone felt they had to kill me because I'm Christian, then I prayed. At that moment, I would pray that my loved ones would be taken care of in my absence. And yet, when something is simple, seems as trivial as admitting that I am a Christian, that I would admit that I am a Christian on my identification card, I questioned that. I challenged that. And again, like I said, I was humbled after I thought that through. Indeed, those people are not crazy. They are Christians. Back to Chad Robichaux. Again, I lifted this audio off of the Blaze Radio Network, which I am a big fan of, because in their case, they're not trying to be the first. they've never tried to be the first to give you the story. They have been the first on most of the time. They are the first on giving you the correct story, which means that if they report something and they do get it wrong, they will indeed go back and definitely give you the updates as soon as they are possible. Chad Robichaud, enough of me going on about. I've already promised Chad to you for the past 5 minutes. Listen, if you heard the report at the beginning, listen to what Chad had to say, which kind of coincides with what that first report was talking about.
We have with what you guys are doing at Nazarene Fund. We got 5,200 people off the ground, and that's it's one of these stories that it's tough to reconcile, because you have this one side of you that's so happy and joyful. I just got back from the humanitarian center where we have been bringing people in the country that we're in, and I got to see these people that I'm looking around, and it overwhelmed me, and I got just so emotional, because we've been working hard so hard all week. I've only got 6 hours of sleep in the last 5 days, and we've been working so hard, and to walk in to see these people and know that they have a chance, they have hope, and see these little kids, and I got to see my interpreter that I got out, and his family and his kids ran up to me and hugged me, and I was just so emotional and overwhelmed. So there's this sense of joy, but then there's also this sense of what we've seen in Kabul, where you have people left, American citizens left, people who are still in sewage ditches trying to climb their way over concertina wire, throwing their kids. I didn't see it, but one of my buddies, Joe, saw 3 babies dead in the concertina wire, where moms tried to throw their babies over the concertina wire, or moms or dads tried to throw their babies over the concertina wire, just hoping, rather give away their baby than have it be under the Taliban, and the babies got tangled up in the concertina wire and are dead in there, and now we're hearing reports of dads shooting their daughters, not because they want to kill their daughters, because they don't want their daughters to endure the suffering of the Taliban. And it's just a horrific situation, and my heart just breaks to know these people are just still, they're left there, and we did it. Our government, I've never, as a proud American, as someone, I'm the most patriotic guy I think I know, and to ever feel embarrassed and ashamed of our country.
Babies in the razor wire. That's what the first report was talking about, the opening report that I shared with you all. Babies caught. Mothers and fathers literally throwing the babies, trying to get them over a fence that's already 10, 12 feet high. And on top of that fence, they actually have the concertina wire, which is the razor wire. They usually spiral it. So it's this tight spiral of wire, if you can picture it, if you haven't seen it yet. Tight spiral of wire at the top of a fence. This is to keep you from climbing the fence, or at least to slow you down from getting over the fence. And people are literally taking their infants and throwing them in hopes that they'll get over the fence, get the child over the concertina wire, razor wire. It's, again, 10 to 12, the wall itself is 10 to 12 feet high. The concertina wire is 18 to 24 inches, 18 to 24 inch spirals. You're asking small women and not necessarily very athletic men to throw a child anywhere from 8 to 16 pounds to clear 16 foot, roughly 16 feet of height, and make sure that the baby gets over the fence in hopes that someone's going to catch it, or if it lands remotely, properly, if there's any way for a baby to land from about 16, 17 feet high on the ground. All this in desperation, argue it ignorance if you need, but just flat out fear. Again, that was Chad Robichaux talking about that. And then equally, even more heartbreaking is the thought of parents, particularly their fathers, taking their beautiful 12, 13, 14-year-old daughters that no doubt they love because they're making the decision of gunning them down, not because of some sort of a honor killing or anything like that, but they can't bear the thought of their daughters going through what the Taliban has put women through for decades now. They know what's coming. There's early, I don't know, about 10 days ago, there was some footage of people, Afghan people, protesting in the streets, and it was they were protesting in front of the Taliban. Not that the Taliban necessarily needed to react to any of that right at that point, because their time is now. But it was a actual what looked like what you protests you would see in America, people walking down the streets, people waving the Afghan flag and demanding, justice and freedom and all that, and it's some of the footage was young women, and some of them were wearing the hijab, and some of them were not, and just as you would expect, beautiful Middle Eastern women trying to stand up for their rights, and that will just be taken away under just boot and fist. In the Taliban's case, sandal and fist. The Taliban will get what they want. Those cries for freedom will be squashed. I hope many of those people that were protesting are getting out, smart enough to get out, have the opportunity to get out. God hold them all. Our State Department is the worst part about all of this. You would say, how can they be any worse than the Taliban? Well, here, our State Department is actually, they don't want to use the word trust, but they sure have given the Taliban a lot of responsibility to get people that want to leave. They've given the United States State Department has given the Taliban power to control who they leave. In fact, they gave a list of names. U.S. officials in Kabul gave the Taliban a list of names of American citizens, green card holders, and Afghan allies to grant entry into the militant-controlled outer perimeter of the city's airport, a choice that's prompted outrage behind the scenes of the lawmakers and military officials. Why would it spark outrage? Because you give them names, that's a hit list. You gave the Taliban names of people that are U.S. citizens and are green card holders. And to the Taliban, that list looks like a hit list. Well, these are the people we're supposed to look for and kill. That's with that list. Okay, that's how smart. That's some of the decisions. It's one of the decisions that our United States State Department has called upon. One, Taliban will hold the checkpoints. Taliban will hold the checkpoints, and we all know that 13 military members and 160 Afghan citizens are now dead, on top of the many injured, because somehow, ISIS, which we've been told that the Taliban hates so much, somehow someone got in with a car bomb right in the middle of all the airport chaos and was able to blow it up. Somehow the Taliban, maybe they turned their head or something like that at the checkpoint, and those guys snuck by. They tippy-toed by. Their car lifted up its skirt and tippy-toed by the checkpoint. The Taliban hates ISIS so much that they released all of the ISIS prisoners at the Bagram airport. That's another thing. The Bagram airport was being held. It was under United States control, and they just gave it up. After 20 years of being there, they gave up all kinds of equipment. The prison, that's another sign of this rescue effort. They want to say, people keep using debacle, and I want to say there's something far, far more insidious about this whole thing. Like, it was all done on purpose. Because when they were asked, the president was asked, should we have held on to the Bagram airport? He said, that was, after I talked to our military leaders, and they said that there was no benefit in the whole. Of course there's benefit into holding a whole nother airport to get tens of thousands of people out. To hold on to the airport that you already had. Could have had Kabul and Bagram, and just get out of. And I hate to say it like this, but it's like they could have left those two airports open and just got the hell out of the way and let private citizens get people out. Because apparently the State Department doesn't want anything to do with saving people, or very little to do with saving people. It was a 345-seat charter plane to evacuate Afghans, and it left. It leaves Kabul empty. So a charter plane was actually sent, 345 seats, and it left. The people that are getting out with very little hitch where the citizens have actually been donating or taking matters into their own hands. It's heartbreaking. And in some cases, the State Department is telling countries not to take refugees. So it's like in Macedonia was willing to take refugees, and there was a cease on that because this State Department told them not to take any of these refugees. And to the other countries, I would just like to say, if right now with what's going on in our White House, don't listen to us. We don't know what the hell we're talking about. I'll give you hopefully a quick list of the countries that are helping. UK announced plans to resettle 20,000 refugees from Afghanistan. UK. Iran sets up emergency tents but urges reparations or repatriation if and when they're saved. So Iran, sure, they're like, yeah, we'll take you, but it is Iran, so they're like, yeah, but you got to join us. You got to be one of us in order for us to help you out. Pakistan, to keep refugees close to the border, which is surprising in itself, that they would even do that. Turkey steps up border wall construction. They're not necessarily too thrilled about helping Afghanistan, but they've taken in some refugees. They've taken in some refugees before, so they've got that going for them, I guess. United Kingdom to welcome 20,000 people. Went over that earlier. 20,000 people over several years as part of a new resettlement program that will prioritize women, girls, and religious minorities. Here's some more. Canada to resettle 20,000, prioritizing minorities and LGBTQ Afghans. It's something. Seems a little nitpicky, but it's something. Australia says no plans on Afghanistan refugees. Instead, provide Afghans with 3,000 visas over a year. Something. You just can't just waltz into Australia. That's what they're saying. But we will be glad to vet you in. Switzerland refuses to accept large groups of Afghans. Instead, will review asylum applications on case-by-case basis. Something. Austria refuses refugees, favors deportation centers. In favor of countering possible influx of refugees with on-the-spot aid and deportations. So they'll help. It's something the United States focuses on evacuation efforts and are prepared to accommodate over 22,000 evacuees. But again, we have to be careful with that because we're not vetting these people. And not everyone is wanting to come to the United States because it's a quote-unquote free country. Uganda to temporarily host 2,000 refugees at U.S. request. North Macedonia to temporarily host 450 Afghans at U.S. request. That's Albania, temporarily host 300 refugees, in Kosovo to host refugees. That's some of the countries that have put their foot down as far as helping out. And in many cases, they're dealing with our State Department, which our State Department is saying is being just really crappy right now. Is the best we can put it. They're not. There's something, like I said, far more devious going on in our State Department. Problems that the White House has right now is their credibility shot. Not telling this is a list of what the State Department is putting the Afghans and U.S. citizens through right now. U.S. citizens that are in Afghanistan. Not telling the new Afghan commander when the U.S. military was leaving. They literally left overnight. Leaving under the cover of night. I know our guys don't want to do that, but our White House was cowardly enough to give that order. not consulting with allies with plans of intentions, that goes back to early on in this whole 2-week mess, where Boris Johnson was trying to get a hold of Joe Biden, and it took him 40 hours to get a hold of him. And the question, like many, was, "What are you guys doing? I mean, are we in this together?" type of thing. And it's obviously not, because the Brits and the French were out getting our citizens, not only their own, but they were getting our citizens, going into the country to get our citizens out and bring them to the airport. And in many cases, the State Department is having many of those people just turned away or just sitting and waiting, not helping Allied forces retrieve their people, letting Allied forces fight their battles. Because in many cases, since we set up this, like I said, quote-unquote debacle, our guns should have been pointing, and they certainly have not. Not seeing to that the U.S. citizens are first to escape. That didn't happen. Negotiating terms with the Taliban. They said they're running our checkpoints. They're telling us when to leave. The United States is not supposed to be told by a bunch of guys dressed like B. Arthur from, on the Golden Girls, wearing sandals. The United States does not have to take orders. I'll be like, "Oh, you guys got to be out by the 31st. The 31st of whatever month we choose. That's fine. When we're ready, when we've got our people, that's when you won't see us anymore." Promising the Taliban that we will stick to their terms. The United States sticking to their terms, leaving trillions of dollars of arms, equipment, food, amenities, protected hands, and the Taliban. The list of I'm just gonna have to post that with the video, because the list of the things that they left behind, including another pallet of money, the list is maddening. The vehicles, Ford trucks, Humvees, Black Hawk helicopters. There's a story now where the Taliban is actually bragging about using our technology to track people down. They're bragging about it. Some sort of laser technology that they're using that belongs to us, and they're it's in their hands now, and they're able to track people down. And they'll continuously be able to track people down. So after the 31st deadline, August 31st deadline that Joe Biden says is crucial, they will be able to still continue tracking our people down. Yeah. And who's to say that our technology doesn't get sold to someone like China that could actually do some serious damage, some serious get some serious impact if they know how our technology works. Just something as simple as the night vision goggles gave the United States an advantage over situations like fighting the Taliban or ISIS. And now that technology is actually in their hands. So, the United States has night vision goggles. Taliban, ISIS, they have night vision goggles. Terrorists, if you will, have night vision goggles. I could only pray that this could be turned around in some way. I don't feel good about it, but I could only pray. A to Jet Noise. There's so much more to talk about. Other things that I've heard that are rumors, and I try my darndest not to spread rumors. I'd like to have some sort of on-the-ground word of mouth, or actual evidence. So there's so much more to share. Truth and more ugliness coming out of the White House and, of course, the State Department here. This list is a devastating. This list of just wrongdoings is devastating to the United States. I honestly do not know how we save this country after this. We have far too many people scared of a virus, and we've ruined our credibility around the world. God hold America. God hold us. Thanks for joining me, A to Jet Noise. Pray for us, pray for us. Hopefully I'll see you soon. I don't want to keep you up for too much longer. So until I see you again, big hug, be good, be still. Enjoy your life. Pray for our troops.